Live from the Cactus Creek at Ibri, he is the king of prime time, Ghana's undisputed entertainment laureate, and still the youngest old man in Ghana. Put your hands together, show some love for the indefatigable KSM.
The KSM Show.
Yes, thank you. Folks, I'm on fire today. This is the premiere edition of what we call KSM Show International Edition. And now what do I mean by the international edition? It means we are going to widen our scope of guests. We are now going to be hitting the international guests one by one. Show some love, man. And I'm telling you, being Ghanaian, when I talk international, the first stop for me is Niger. I'm telling you, no other country comes in my mind other than Niger. And when we talk about Niger, there's one particular person that I want to start with. This man is he's an actor. He's more than an actor. He's a thespian. He's a philanthropist. He's an entrepreneur. He's a musician, and he's a songwriter, and he's multi-talented. Folks, he has a show that is coming up. His next big movie is called Bad Comment. And this movie has already been penned by Netflix. It is also talking with other international distribution firms in the US to have it distributed worldwide. Who am I talking about, folks? I'm talking about the one and only, a man who's a true thespian who understands his craft. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and show some love for my good friend, the man of the moment, Jim Iyke.
You're a legend, my brother. I mean, one legend to another. It's this is phenomenal.
Man, I like how you put it, man. There's one legend to another, and it's like I want to pinch myself to know I have you on my screen, man.
So thank you for having me.
My pleasure, and thank you for making time to be on the show. Now, we're going to be talking about, I've been talking about Bad Comment, but before we get there, a few questions, man. I mean, I know you studied banking and finance, your diploma in banking and finance, and then you have a BSc in philosophy, and you end up being a great thespian actor. Where's the link? Banking, finance, philosophy, acting?
None whatsoever. So, life really prepares you for the journey that you undertake, especially a get-go. Many people in this on our lane, I mean, as artists, one person to another, we hardly studied our field of study different to assume as our core competence now. Sometimes gifts could be in another field. But again, because your study history, what has been doctored, you know the whole story of our parents. Everybody wants their kid to be, a financial expert, a lawyer, doctor. So they schooled, doctored, and kind of manipulated you from day one, totally ignorant and of your gifts and your skill sets, your natural. Now we don't have with that. I just happened to be one that discovered mine really early.
How early was that?
Yeah, I probably feel my first gift about 21 or 20 and a half, basically. So I kind of had a conversation with my dad. I'm an only son. I have 6 sisters. So my dad is of Igbo extract. So you can imagine that he's so rooted in traditional, right? And I remember the first conversation I had with him that I wanted to be an actor. And he said, okay, there are 2 things will happen if I want to be an actor. If I want to play for a year or so before I come back and do my master's or my PhD, that's fine because I finished early. But if I want to make it a career, then I better go find another house and look for another life.
Really? What is his reaction now, man? Seeing that you picked acting and you're a thespian. You're not an actor of a minor degree. So what does he feel about you now?
About long ago, I couldn't come home for 2 years before that time.
Really?
kids all the time, and it didn't go well in the beginning. I didn't get a lot of support. My mom, however, was the rock, was the one that stood behind me and said, you know what, he's a good kid. He's never rebelled. He's stayed on the first narrow. I was an A student all through, one of the best graduation students of my class. So she said, listen, it's right to go visit life, so to speak, to go explore life. And if it doesn't work out, he's still within 2023, he'll come back quickly and get back on route. So, but he wasn't having it. His whole ideology was before 30, you should have your PhD going and then start off life. But that's how it works. That's how it played out. But after 2 3 years, his friends started calling him like, hey man, your son out is doing crazy things right now. So he checked it out. He couldn't believe it because I was a really quiet kid. I was very lonesome. I'm a loner by nature, so he didn't see where it came from. And we had no background in my family. Nobody. My family were predominantly businessmen, traders, erudites. I have a lot of professor uncles and scientists, basically. But there was no thespian. There was no artist.
Wow.
And he kept, where did it come from? I mean, especially when he sees me playing violently, this loud, boisterous, violent roles. I keeps wondering, how come we never saw this? Where did it come from? And without any basic training again, what he didn't know was, in the course of that time, I self-sponsored myself. I scrounged up whatever money I could get, added it to whatever my mom was sending me as pocket money, and I went for 2 courses, script to screen in London. I also did, things of training here and there, and it goes without saying that I really found my calling. And after a few years, he has to be convinced, especially when my mom kept getting her car changed every other year, and kept getting gifts and everybody. So it was left out on the phone. And after a while, he just had to say, hey, man, let's reappraise this thing. Maybe it's not so bad after all.
You come from a family of all girls? You have all sisters? Did that have any impact on anything you do?
Oh, yeah. My sister is, all my businesses are family incorporated. My immediate baby sister is the MD of one of my companies, the logistic company show. Stands in as co-director in my travel company. I have a travel agency. We have about 3 branches now. It's called Mercurial Travels. My big sister is part of my real estate company.
I see.
My brother, he's married to my last sister. He's actually MD of our real estate company, which is my biggest establishment. It's called Lustrous.
So you do real estate? You do construction, everything.
Yeah.
Wow. Great. Well, we're going to be coming back to those things. But what is of interest to me today, and why I have you here, you'll be back later. But today, I have a friend, who lives in New York City. And I lived in New York City for a long time. And he called me and he was very, very impressed. He said he has spotted a billboard at Times Square, and it's a Nigerian movie. I'm like, you got to be kidding. And I said, that's no small place to have a billboard. That's the most expensive part of New York City. And lo and behold, I find out that it's Jim, who's doing a movie called Bad Comments, who's being advertised on a billboard in Times Square. First of all, we're going to get to that. But is that your next movie? It's coming up shortly, I guess.
Yes. Absolutely. Bad Comments is the biggest project of my entire career. It is it's unbelievably one of those ones that I've focused on my entire resources in to make it first class. The entire how do you say, the Times Square saga, as we come to term it, came as a challenge. I remember when we were done with Back Comment, I was exhausted. I was spiritually, physically, mentally exhausted. I just wanted to get away. And so they couldn't get me a straight flight to Atlanta. I just found the first flight to New York. I said, hey, let me spend 3-4 days in New York if I head out to Atlanta. And I wanted to do a road trip, get back into the vibe of things. And I came out to Times Square that day. I was hanging out with my cousin. I was looking around like all the big movies were there. And I'm like, why? I mean, how long will it take for us to have our movie up there? Now, I've always been a proponent of investing in yourself. When I come out here and say Bad Community is the #1 movie in Africa, it's an affirmation. I'm not saying it to douse anybody or as a point. This is my affirmation. This is my mantra. This is how I wake up and speak to myself to greatness or to whatever value that I want, anything I put out to go. And so I told myself that if I'm looking to break all barriers, all records in this movie, I have to start with investing in it myself, in believing that capacity. It is a show of faith, an exhibition of faith, and that's how I've done everything in my life. Somebody will ask me when I make these buildings, can I live in it? Yes, I hope. Even when we sell out, this is our third project right now. I make sure that I have a building there. I believe in it enough to take it as a personal luxury in a percentage of personal luxury. So I told them I want my billboard there. It was that simple. They thought I was crazy. I said, no. I stayed back in New York for 2 weeks. We found the cost analysis. We found the contact and agents that made it happen. And he said, hey, are you serious about this? You're serious? You want to spend this kind of money to put it up there? I said, yes, that's what I want. And I spent it. And I put it up.
Wow.
Clean and simple.
Just out of curiosity, Jim, how much did you spend to put it up? Because I know years ago, some people, they were quoting like 150,000 for a month. Is that something? Or you have to spend more? This was years ago. How much did you put in having a billboard at Times Square?
Well, let me put it this way. A billboard at Times Square for 1 month, I was run for 3 weeks. I have a 5-week deal. I did a coming soon poster for 3 weeks. I have another 2 weeks coming once the movie is released. Right? It starts running from 30th August. To do that, the cheapest screen on Times Square, it's purportedly the most expensive location on the world to put up a billboard or to put up your advertorial. It costs $100,000 to $3 million.
How much?
$100,000 for the smallest screen.
For the
biggest screen. For the smallest screen. And we did not take the smallest screen, by the way. To the biggest screen is $3 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's one of those things you do, and then you pinch yourself and say, am I nuts? But no, I'm not. When I'm done, I've been known to walk into a luxury place and buy a crazy thing. My conviction is everything. When I can spend $200 and something thousand to edify my product, what I see as my creativity, whatever I do to edify it, I can boldly ask someone to pay me $1 million, $2 million, $3 million for it. Because the person will see the show of faith, the exhibition of self-value that I've already imputed into my work, into my heart.
This is fantastic, man. And I'm going to take a short commercial break. When I come back, we're going to go back to bad comments because this is all about the publicity for the bad comment. But I want to talk about the content itself and where you got your inspiration from. And that's what blew my mind. So stick around, man. We'll be right back. When it comes to insurance, I recommend Vanguard Assurance because they bring value to whatever it is you have insured. Whether it's a personal thing, whether it's a corporate, individual, no matter the size, they bring value to it. So don't just take my word, and I'll ask you to call these numbers again. The hotline numbers to call are 055 662 0111 and 024 433 4407. So there you go with the numbers. Please call them. And as I keep telling you, when you call them, you'll understand why they always say, we always stand by you.
The KSM Show.
Well, man, we're having a ball with Jim Iyke. But Benetton, Benetton has teamed up with the KSM Show to give away free products. Benetton products, as they say, simply better. And we have 4 winners today. For those of you who answered the question last week, we have picked 4 winners. And the winners are Auntie Misonu Amu. You're a winner. And then we have Samuel Ayi. You're also a great winner. Then we have Eric Edu. We're waiting for you, man. You won. And finally, Richard Bafo Ampoma. You're the 4 grand winners of the free Benetton giveaways this week. Next week, there's more, so tune in. Benetton, simply better. When it comes to insurance, I recommend Vanguard Assurance because they bring value to whatever it is you have insured. Whether it's a personal thing, whether it's a corporate, individual, no matter the size, they bring value to it. So don't just take my word, and I'll ask you to call these numbers again. The hotline numbers to call are 055 662 0111 and 024 433 4407. So there you go with the numbers. Please call them. And as I keep telling you, when you call them, you'll understand why they always say, we always stand by you.
I found every one of you. You destroyed everything that I stood for. Welcome. Your comments, your vile, hate-filled comments, chipped away at the very foundation of all the things I've built. You might step it back at this point.
Any day you see snake on one side of the road coming towards you, then Frank Orji coming on the other end. Please watch to the side of snake because Frank Orji is a devil.
That's right. And I'm here with the man himself, Jim Iyke, and he's doing some amazing work in filmmaking and taking African filmmaking to a whole new angle. Jim, like I was saying, when somebody told me that they had an African film on the marquee at Times Square, I was like, wow, this must be a big deal. Now, I'm glad you're here. First of all, I know you took a break of your acting for about 3 years. You took a break to concentrate on the business?
4 years, yeah. I moved back to the US. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this idea of coming back and coming back so big, by the way, you've done about 300 films or more, but this idea of coming back and coming back so big, did you consider this idea in the time of your break?
No, it wasn't actually. Again, it was a seed that was planted by a sibling of mine. Basically, when we started a logistic company from the US, and when it picked up and started doing well, my initial thought of moving back to the US was just to be a family man. I've been on the high road all this time. I've been doing my thing. I've never really sacrificed to a cause that was personal. Everything I've done in my life was about moving my cause forward, my agenda, my career, my life, my financial prowess. Everything was me. So seemingly overnight, something happened to me that drastically changed my life for good. I lost my mom. When she passed, she was still for a while, and we've been going back and forth from India to England to everywhere. And when it happened, I didn't want to grieve at first because I think what I was focusing on was making sure my girls are okay, my women are fine, and that she goes home the way she ought to be. And I had to get my family home situated because that's where I wanted to bury her. So I had to take the 2 months to build that house as fast as I could. When I was done with all that, I believe it's called delayed grieving. I couldn't find my feet for a while. Seriously, I was lost, basically. My mom was a big part of our lives. She was my best friend, my confidant, my business partner. Taught me so many things that I knew. She was my rock. And I honestly could not find my feet at that time. I was even in a relationship with somebody famous in Ghana by that time, but I just couldn't. I couldn't be that person for anybody. I didn't have anything to give anybody. I shut down literally. And so I thought the best thing to do at that point was move away and go back to another familiar country, my second country, seemingly. America is my second country. So I went and decided to raise my son. And I shut down everything about the industry, shut that part of my life, put it in some mental archive, and just decided that that part did not exist, you know? But we went for, when I came home after about 3.5 years, we were trying to set up the real estate company. I was trying to pull my brother-in-law out of the bank, was working in a bank, he was overworked, he was stressed out. So we're trying to get him back and make him a partner in this firm I was setting up then. So we went to pitch. There was somebody I was trying to get on board as board of directors, chairman of board. I'm a highly influential man in this country, a man of immense resources. And I went to pitch with him. I took my sister with me, and it was a wonderful pitch. Right in the middle of my pitch, he said, "Listen, man, Jim, you don't have to say anything. I'm coming on board just for my love for you. And nothing you start. We're going to invest heavily in this. Let's go." And with that joy, we came back into the car, and my sister said, "So that's it." I said, "What do you mean that's it?" He said, "So that's it. That's it for acting. We're done. It's dusted." I said, "Yes." And she said, "Liar." And I'm like,
she wouldn't buy that.
The whole idea is the financial freedom, is financial independence, is another skill set. I'm a damn good businessman. My mom is a first-class businesswoman. She taught me everything. And I'm talking about stuff you don't learn in a classical classroom. You understand? Not in the four walls of that doctored, manipulative teachings. I know this one feeds your mind. This is the street business sense that you ought to have to navigate murky waters of business. So she taught me everything. And it was no big deal that things were moving forward quickly. And when she said that, I said, "Okay, but what do you want me to do?" I can't go back because I wasn't exactly happy with how things were turning out and blah, blah, blah. So I gave a mountain of excuses. And she said, "Listen, all my life, and you cannot have raised me, all my life, you've never really complained. You're not the complaining man. You are the liar. You are the one of action. You take action. I've known you. You're the one that says less in every meeting. You're the one that has nothing to say. The next thing you're doing it. You are the do guy. You're not the complaining guy. So if you don't like how things are going, change it. Make a statement. Do what you do best and make a statement." So I said, "Okay, this comeback with a biblical."
Wow.
I decided right there and then. So then we started researching for an ideal story, a story that will resonate with the times, a story that will be viable universally, a story that will cut across every creed, religion, status, or whatnot. And the way we decided that was that I had to find a common denominator. The only common denominator at this present time is the internet, is the social media space. Whether you're 2 years old or 98 years old, directly or indirectly, this phenomenon has affected your life, whether for good or for bad. So immediately I latched onto that philosophy. The rest was how to, weave a story around that.
Yeah. Not to cut
This
you.
aspect of social media, as we know,
Not to cut you off, but yes, that's what I realized, that this theme is so universally relevant, because that's what we're dealing with now. And this whole aspect of social media that you took on. One former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, he has said that social media was turning into an agent for bullying, for idiots, and something like that, and crazy people. Was that something that you wanted to depict? And I don't want to give away anything in your film, but the fact that you're dealing with social media, I thought was so relevant, nationally, internationally.
It's a brilliant question, my brother, if I may venture. The truth was that was what I wanted to deal with. I've seen celebrity, And you know what reinforced my conviction right after that? Later I latched onto the ideology and decided let's weave a story around this. A friend of mine, I'm telling you, the first 4 biggest actor in Africa, actress, called me one night and was crying her eyes out. And I said, what is wrong? She said she believes one of her friends told her private story to some guy, and they took it out on the internet and insulted her with it publicly, and the blogs picked it up that she just wants to die. People don't understand the wave of what they do. They don't understand the ripple effect of what they do. One word can break somebody. We've had untold suicidal attempts and even people committing suicide across different parts of the world, from Europe, Southeast Asia to the Americas. People have killed themselves in droves just because of cyberbullying. It's a subject that I think that is mitigated. Is not.
Have you been a victim?
Absolutely.
I can
There's
imagine.
nobody who cannot exist in the public space without being a victim. There's no how. People, we have to develop what I've come to the rhino scheme to this thing. Like they've tried to bully me, and then most of the people that try to bully me find out that they're the receiving end of the stick most times, anyways, because I give a lot more than I take. You understand? I feel trolls, the smallest, pettiest human beings, and the whole structure of human being. And those are people that I refuse to be intelligent about trolls. I refuse to be wise about trolls. The only allowance I give troll is my pettiness. Seriously. You know, once I begin to look at the higher value, the bigger purpose of I will make excuses for them, and I don't want to. Before you can leave your space, this is just some people that are not happy with their lives and are projecting their opinions through cruelty and hate to another person you barely, and it is not enough. So what finally crystallized it was we're shooting Merry Men 2. So when Hilton, and I was going upstairs in the elevator with the director, Moses Iwan, and Moses started telling me the story of this thing that was going on, you know, and as he was telling me the story, it struck. And he was on the 3rd floor, I was on the 5th floor. I told him, dude, you're following me to my room right now. We're closing this deal right now. I took him to my room. He finished the story. He sold the story to me that night. I bought it that night and told him we'll do the paperwork next day. Because I was so afraid, because he told the same story to another top tier producer. I was afraid by morning that producer was going to find him and possibly close the deal. So that is the thing again about conviction. I closed the deal that night, paid him his full money, and told him, go get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll call our lawyers and our assistants, put them. And that was it. That's how bad coming came into being.
Now, in terms of closing the deal on the writing time, who did the writing?
We all did.
Oh, you're okay.
The original story about was really not all that. But my experience could read between the lines. I knew the nuances and in between the intermediaries of creating a beautiful story. Once you have the rudiments of a story, you can recreate it into a super story if you know what you're doing. So this is what we did. I called a script conference 2 weeks after, and I brought some of the keenest minds I know around my circle into one room. I brought businessmen, I brought IT entrepreneurs, I brought real estate people, my guy in real estate, my partner in real estate was there, Casey. I brought a guy that was in oil and gas. You know, people from all walks of life. I didn't bring salesmen, I didn't bring artists alone. We were probably about 4 or 5 artists, all 11 in numbers, and 2 women. I needed a female perspective. I brought a highly intellectual woman, and I brought a feminist because I needed this cross-pollination of ideas, of ideals, of those idiosyncrasies.
So gathering all these people together from several backgrounds, how long did it take to synchronize all and then move in the direction of?
You have to be in that room. That room was the melting point of intellectuality.
I can imagine.
Everything were arguing. At some point, we were throwing food bits at each other. We were throwing popcorn and food. And, everybody was crazy in that room, but intellectually crazy. So we had a microphone on. That's the thing. I allowed the whole insane argument. We went to sleep. That weekend, I brought them back. Yeah? And we argued some more. And I found out that each time we met, the argument would be less, the pattern would be more, the creativity, it became that whole consortium of ideas. You understand? It became conjugal as we went forward, smoother.
Yeah.
And after the 4 sessions, we gave birth on records to Bad Comment. Wow. We decided on the treatment, we decided on the direction to go, we decided on the character, we decided on the treatment and everything, we decided on the character Bible, everything. So what we did was that we took our conference and gave it to a screenwriter. So basically all he did was just...
So let's fast forward now. Now the movie is done. And I think you played the main character. Is that Orgy? Was it?
That naturally, is going to play the lead, my brother.
Hey, can I do that? So what's the feeling now? After everything, the movie is done and it's getting ready for a world premiere on the 27th of July?
27th. We're going worldwide.
Okay.
22nd is the world premiere in Lagos. And then we're coming to Ghana 2 weeks after release.
Oh, really? So 2 weeks after that, you'll be in Ghana?
We're speaking to several brands right now. My agents are speaking to several partner with us and come to Ghana. So, dude, I'm coming to hug you, man, and talk about some. We'll eat some banku, and some...
Hey, my pleasure, man. I'll take you to Cactus Creek when you get here, man. It's a haven for my great visitors. But
I'm going to tell you hotel near Casey's house. So every morning I just show up at your doorstep and we go wherever it is you want to go.
And you lived in Ghana once, huh? For how long?
I was shooting my reality show was called Unscripted by Jim Iyke. Yeah. So Virgin Atlantic was our headliner then, our headliner brand, and Virgin Atlantic just closed shop in Nigeria at that time, and I was the ambassador. So they said, okay, and part of our deal is that they were going to fly us to every part of the world. We shoot about 13 episodes per session, and in each session we go to probably about 12 countries of the world. So they told us that they're going to close in Nigeria, but we could fly from Ghana. And each time I move, I take an entourage of about 8 to 9 persons. So flying from Nigeria into Ghana and then from Ghana to any part of the world we have to shoot was too cumbersome. So we moved our studio temporarily to Ghana, to Accra. And then we set up a... So basically what I used to do, that every month I'll come shoot for 2 weeks in Ghana and then go back home. So literally I was spending half the month for the next 2 years in Ghana.
They are Ghana man as well.
Tell me nothing about Accra, trust me.
Really?
And the Northern Province go there a lot. The whole, I used to, there's this resort I used to go to that was really nice in the north of Ghana. It was amazing. I remember in a second, I loved going. Every weekend I was there.
I see. And you're married now, right? I'm sure you are, with a beautiful son. While you were in Ghana, did anything happen with a female department in Ghana?
Something I like about you. The way you phrase your questions. You can ask your questions in sort of subtle, nice way. Nobody be offended. It's an art. It's an art. A lot of correspondents, they ask their respondents certain questions. They so blatantly throw it in your face. You become offended first by the verbiage.
Yes.
And by an act of rebellion, you refuse to answer. But you, my friend, you so finesse your people, your guests into answering these questions. I have to say, I'll give you one just because it's you. Usually, I dodge it. Trust me.
You do.
Yeah. I've loved this system. partners, and I've loved them generous. They love me back in return. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing. There was a time I found really good romance amongst sisters. I've dated extensively in Ghana,
Oh, really?
and I like Ghanaian women because they are not really high maintenance. They are really cool.
They're
They're
cool?
very supportive of them, and they like to have fun. The only thing is that I'm not much of an outgoing person. I'm more of a home person. I'm a loner. That was always the friction. Oh, they want to go out, they want to wild out. The Ghanaian sisters like to have a good time, man. It's not a bad thing. But I think that's how it worked. Because I was an introvert and they were mostly extrovert. It was no yin and yang. So I was their yang to the yin, man, and it was cool.
I hear you.
So
I hear you.
memories. And one thing I've tried to do is that I've tried to remain friends with my exes.
Okay.
Not all, most. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's all love.
Do I know any of them? Should I know any of them?
I did. Well, I'm a gentleman, my brother. I'm not a kiss and tell brother. I'm not just that. That we had a great time. We enjoyed each other's company.
Fantastic.
I hate it when men come out and say, "Oh, I dated that person or that person," and it look like it's telling. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
Being in a relation with somebody doesn't mean it has to culminate into marriage all the time. You're on a journey. And maybe that person has come to play their part and move over. You are somebody, you're supposed to create the permanent structure with somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody's for somebody. Your dating history is what makes you who you are at the end of the day. I like to think value to their lives, and that's what made them who they are at the end of the day. So that it suffices that way. I just they were women of high standards, and we matched each other in so many ways. And then they brought a lot of value to my life, and I like to think that I brought a lot to theirs as well. So
Fantastic,
it's all
fantastic.
good.
One very, very quick question. If I ask your wife what kind of a man is Jim, what do you think your wife would say?
I'm an evolutionary man. I'm a man that constantly evolves. I'm far more emotionally intelligent than I ever was before. I'm a leader, a natural leader by every structure, every form and shape of the word. I like to take hold the bull by the horn and I like pivot this whole maze called humanity. And I like to be pioneers and pioneer in a lot of things I do. So what I think I am in the process of achieving right now, I'm learning to follow, because to be a good follower, you have to be a good leader. Everybody that mentored me, from my father to the men I met along my journey, trained, imbued, and imbibed in me the structure of leadership. On my own right now, after having my sons, after tasting life in a whole different dimension, in multi-generations, beyond them, I've come to understand the importance of fellowship. So I wish I followed more in my life, and that's what I'm trying to create right now. When I started my fashion label, when I created my boutique in Abuja, I suddenly realized the need for me to understand the act of fellowship, so I could be a better business. And I went to New York, and I hung out with a friend of mine that owned the label, and I was actually the cashier in his shop. But here's the irony, the funny thing. People were walking up like, "Hey, man, don't I know you? Ain't you that dude in African movie?" I'm like, "Nah, why's everyone talking like that?" I mean, hey, I'm Senegalese, for crying out loud. What y'all think? I just keep feeling it, but I learned a lot in that shop. And so that's who I am. I'm a sponge. I love knowledge. I love books. I love sitting on my own. I love introspection. I love people that bring value and get me to think, challenge my thought processes. I don't like complacency. I don't like people that make me redundant. I don't like people that make me think I've arrived. I don't want to have the arrived mentality ever in my life, ever. So, and I'm totally indiscriminative of where
I hear you.
from.
Let me get into
Fiber.
Yeah. You're a musician yourself. You're a songwriter. Talking about who do you listen to? Who fascinates you with music? Who's your favorite, if there's any?
A lot of generation guys now really fascinate me. I had an opportunity to sign techno at some point. It didn't happen because of my skepticism, and that slipped through my fingers. But I watched that dude firsthand in the studio, and that is a one-man band. The guy's a body of talent. I've watched David's his history and his journey closely. He is born to do this. I don't care what people say, whether it lasts, vocal prowess or whether. No, the man is born to do it. He has a natural knack and gift for speaking to people in a certain. Okay, Whiskey, it's natural to him. It's just who he is. Daniel is in a whole different planet of his own. There's so many great guys, even in Ghana. I love the Sakodiers. I love the Shatawales. I love there's this guy that is into ragas where he has dreadlocks. I don't want to sound offensive. He limps slightly. He is such a brilliant guy. I'm trying to remember his name.
Is this Stone Boy?
Stone Boy.
Okay.
Stone Boy does it for me because I've heard Stone Boy speak. He speaks wisdom. I like a man that outside the box has knowledge as well. So I mean, there's so many people. I'm not discriminative of the music I listen to. At every point in time, in every mood, in circumstance of life, I have music. And I have international artists too that I love. Music is something to the soul. I don't think people should be discriminated or be very choosing of the kind of music they listen to. As long as it speaks to you, I don't even have to understand the lyrics, man. I don't even have to understand the language.
Yeah.
Just as long as it speaks to something in my being.
Yeah.
That's music for me.
Great. And you are an actor. Let me ask you this. Is there any actor worldwide, Nigeria, somebody that you really adore that you like to act with in a big time international movie? Who would be that person?
I think the reason why I think I can come and go as I please, because I've earned it. I've given over a decade and a half of my life to this establishment. I have pretty much the entire legacy of it. I've lived it. When they say the 9 yards, that is me. I'm an embodiment of the 9 yards. I've made movies with everybody ever fantasized about.
Wow.
I've made movies with everybody ever looked up to. And I think in this part of the show, I'm too established for that question to have the kind of relevance it does for me now. But give me Al Pacino any day. I don't care if the 20-year-old Al Pacino or the 100-year-old Al Pacino. Give me Al Pacino. I will die a happy man thereafter.
I hear you, man. Show some love, man. Oh, wow. It's just been so great hanging out with you. But before you leave, final words on bad comments and when to expect it and everything. Again, bad comment. When it's coming out.
Listen, Bad Comment is the #1 movie coming out right now. We've put our heart, our soul, our business of movie making into this. I drew movie makers from 3 different countries for this. We shot for 2.5 months. We ran over our budgets 4 times. I'm a perfectionist. Wow. I'm crazy with my heart. I live for it. I will die for it. This is a wealth of experience of everything I've done in my life. The best work I ever did. I would beat my chest and say that it is meant for the top. If you're a connoisseur of good movies, if you love filmmaking, if you're a supporter of the arts, especially from the African extract, see Bad Comment. And after that, you can hold your conversation anywhere that we are masters of the art anywhere in the world. 27th August is when we're coming worldwide in theaters and cinemas, select cinemas across West Africa. And after that, join us in the celebration, my brother. We are going #1.
Show some love for Jim, man. And yes, folks, the film is Bad Comment. Very, very relevant, man. Especially those of you out there now, everything is social media, and it talks about cyberbullying, cruelty that the cyber industry will facilitate, and it's amazing. And the relevance for me is key. You know, Jim, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. And I'll either be at the Lagos premiere or I'll wait for you to come to Ghana and I'll be there. Whichever one, I'll be there, man.
I'm telling you, man, we change your life. You're not
I hear you. So I wish you all the best, man. And thank you for being my first international guest for the KSM Show International Edition. You're my first guest, man. You're the man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, folks, you know, I mean, hey, what else can I say? I got the whole gym to be on the show, the first edition of the international edition, to talk about a movie that's coming up, man, called Bad Comment. Note that down right now. And when you hear Bad Comment, whether you're in Ghana, Nigeria, outside, wherever you are, do not miss Bad Comment. And he himself is saying that is the best film that he's been in, and I believe him. Jim, catch up with you, man. In the meantime, folks, thank you very much for joining us. And I have to sign off at this point in the words that I always use, and that is I am out of. Let the whole world say, yeah.
The KSM Show.